things Chicago Cubs.
Gabriela Garcia.
And Michael Allen.
Welcome to Season 3 of Northside Manner.
In case you forgot, I'm Michael Allen.
And I'm Gabriela Garcia.
And we're going to jump right in this first episode talking about spring training and what we saw and what we liked.
Well, I pretty much liked Addison Russell, everything he was doing, all those home runs. I definitely think, he's going to have a good year.
Very nice. I like Jason Hayward's swing improvements. I know he had a lot of hate last year at the plate, and this spring training he seemed to be a lot more comfortable, and hopefully that hard work during this offseason paid off.
And who did you see that's not going to make the team that you really wish would make the team?
Well, we already know Jamer Candelario went down, but it's going to be Ian Happ. He's had a monster spring training, so far, and I just don't see him coming up to the big leagues this year. He'll probably be in AAA, but ultimately, I think he might be a trade piece to acquire some talented pitching in the near future.
And what about John Andrioli? We saw him with Team Italy. He did very well, and he was doing well in spring training.
He's going to have a big year, and this will most likely be a make-or-break year for him. He's very fast, very speedy on the bases. He sees the ball well. He makes good contact. And with a crowded outfield that the Cubs have, he really doesn't have a place. But you guys have to remember, John Jay only signed a one-year deal with the Cubs this year. So that might be your next future outfielder who's going to be a star just like everyone else on the team.
And what about the big names? What about Chris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo? How do you think they were doing in spring training?
It's just another spring training for them. I mean, they've had a very busy off season, which was super short.
Yeah.
But I really don't see them having any major issues. Anthony Rizzo was doing a Q&A with Ramon Russell from MLB The Show, and a fan asked Rizzo, are you going to change your swing? And Rizzo said he always does, so we'll see some improvements there. But as for Chris Bryant, he's going to be a star again.
He says he only wants to get better, and we're like, wasn't this the best you can do? But I guess not. So he's going to have another great year. Let's talk about pitching, though. What did you see from the pitchers?
Lester, Arrieta, Hendricks, Lackey, they've all already blown me away. Arrieta hit, 465-foot home run the other day. So his eyes at the plate are really good. Lester, he's going to be locked down. Lackey's going to be locked down. The only real concern is that fourth starter with Brett Anderson. He did pitch for LA last year, but in only 4 games because of a back injury. So that's going to be up in the air, and that's where Ian Happ or even Jamer Candelario come in as a trade piece to help fill that fourth starter role.
And do you like Mike Montgomery in the bullpen better than being a starter?
I do. I really do like it. I think he will succeed more. I think getting that last out in the World Series that the Cubs won, in case you guys forgot, he's using that momentum to help him become a better reliever. And again, Joe Madden did use him as a starter here and there during the last half season for the Cubs, so it's going to be fun to watch. And I think the biggest and most anticipated person that I'm waiting for is Wade Davis. Their lockdown closer, probably the most consistent out of all the big name closers that are in the major leagues. I think Wade is going to be a real pleasure to watch this season. What about you, though?
I think all the pitchers are going to be, on their best. They've, won a World Series, and we could see some improvements from John Lackey. He had a tough year. Same with Jake Arrieta. Pretty much John Lester and Kyle Hendricks were, consistent throughout the whole season. And I think we'll see some improvements. I already have with Jake Arrieta and John Lackey. They've been doing really good in spring training, or they did really good in spring training. So I think we'll see some improvements.
Now, what about Kyle Hendricks being that 5th starter, back of the rotation guy?
I think it's a great plan because usually you put you're not great pitcher last, but I think that's just great because he'll be there and it could be kind of scary for teams. You have John Lester, and then later in the week you have Kyle Hendricks. I think that's great. That's a good decision by Joe Madden, and I know a lot of people aren't happy with it, but I think it's going to work out well. Now let's talk about Who's going to have a breakout year? Who do you feel is going to have a breakout year this season?
Probably Wilson Contreras. I think him taking over the everyday catcher role is going to be key for him, and I think him gaining trust with John Lester is going to be huge, and we're going to see him transform into an already better catcher than what he is right now.
All right, I'm going to go with Albert Almora Jr. just because we already saw what he could do last season and what he did in the World Series, that great base running. So I think everything's just going to go up from here for him, and I really think he's going to have a great year.
I can see that. Now, who do you think the Cubs MVP of the season will be?
Well, I'm not going to go with Anthony Rizzo or Chris Bryant. I'm going to go with Addison Russell.
Why?
Just, what he was doing in spring training, I definitely think he has a different mindset this season. He wants to win again. And, he's kind of like an underdog in the league. Not a lot of people think of his name when they're thinking of, like Mike Trout, Chris Bryant, all those players. But I definitely think he's going to surprise a lot of people. And who knows, maybe he could be the MVP of the National League.
I'm going with his battering mate, Javier Baez.
All right.
I think we've already seen his greatness in what he did in the World Baseball Classic. And Javi being Javi, I really think he's going to have a great year. And I don't see anyone in either the American League or the National League who's a better tagger and who has more energy and passion while playing a game of baseball than he does. And I think that's going to take him far, especially with him most likely being the starting everyday second baseman with Zobrist coming in. And
is that what you think is going to happen? Zobrist is going to be
yeah,
alternating?
Zobrist is going to be that alternating guy
Right.
between the infield and the outfield.
All right, well, we'll have to see what happens this season.
But let us know who your MVP for the Cubs will be. We'd love to hear from you guys on Twitter at Northside Manner, and on Facebook, just search Northside Manner.
Now let's talk about what we think we'll see this year. Do we think we'll see Kyle Hendricks no-hitter? Will we see Anthony Rizzo doing another tarp catch? Javier Baez making a spectacular play, but I think we already know that's going to happen a lot. But what do you think?
I think we're going to see at least 25 home runs from Jason Hayward. I think he's got this chip on his shoulder, which he's always had while playing the game. But I think this year is a make-or-break year for him, and he's going to come out swinging, and he's going to prove all of his haters wrong. So 25 home runs from that guy.
And I know Kyle Schwarber gets a lot of, hey, he can't really run fast, but I think we're going to see a lot of home runs from him as well. I think he can reach that 20 mark
I think so
this
too.
season. And I also think we'll see a no-hitter.
From who?
Kyle Hendricks.
Okay.
And during the off-season, we added a bunch of new writers to NorthsideManner.com. So make sure you go to NorthsideManner.com and click on the Meet the Writers tab to learn all about them.
And you don't want to miss this season. We are going to be introducing a brand new segment. We don't have a name for it yet, but it's going to involve some of our writers and the topics, a Q&A session, things like that. So please be on the lookout for that. It's going to be a fantastic, fun-filled season of Northside Manner again this year.
If you're interested for writing for NorthsideManner.com, shoot us an email, northsidemanner@gmail.com. Send us your resume and at least 2 writing samples, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. That's going to do it for us on this first episode of Season 3 of Northside Manner, but we will be back next week with the first game recaps of the season, the play of the week, the player of the week.
All that fun stuff.
Yeah, and all the segments you guys get to vote on Twitter, so make sure you stay tuned to @NorthsideManner.
Thank you guys for tuning in to the first episode. I'm Michael.
I'm Gabriella.
And go Cubs.